I think the episode should be called Fleshy Bathtub, but whatever.
Here we are, and welcome to a bathwater flavored episode.
Please, I'm gonna vomit.
Friday
Oh,
Night
I
Movie
do. I did
Podcast.
put it in the notes, Shy, but we should do a little warning of graphic content.
Okay,
on
this
this
is going to be a
episode.
very graphic
Yes,
episode,
not our fault.
because
just-
we are going to be
it is-
talking about Saltburn.
yeah.
We're also going to be talking about Suitable Flesh
warned.
and a little bit about Anatomy of a Fall. Spoilers for everything.
I will just
Spoilers,
say
But
that
also, the sexy demon movie we're talking about is not the most graphic, gross movie that we're talking about today.
Oh, Suitable
No.
Flesh? Yeah, no, that's the
And
most
the-
suitable
like,
of the three movies.
I was gonna say that I actually feel like Saltburn had more scenes where I had to avert my eyes and was gagging, like I would call it body horror, more than Suitable Flesh. And that's not
Body
to say
horror.
Suitable Flesh isn't a great body horror. It is. It's a great body horror movie. But anyway, I'll let you take over.
Yeah.
Sorry, Shay.
So we watched. So just again, this is for people who have seen Saltburn, this section, or if you don't ever want to watch it, because we're going to get into all the grossness of this movie.
I mean, it's all over the medias. So I feel like if you haven't seen, that's why I rushed to see it, because I was like, if I'm going to actually watch this movie, I don't want it spoiled. Once this movie is spoiled, I don't see why you would watch it.
I had some of it.
disagree.
I had some of it
I
spoiled
disagree.
by Allie, and
I would
anyway.
I would watch it even if spoiled, yeah.
Okay, so question for
I
Becky.
enjoyed
Because it's not
knowing.
surprising.
Let's-
None
let's-
of it's
No, but
surprising that happens.
So-
yes, but I enjoyed not knowing.
Let's set up this movie. You have a young, sad boy at a very, very rich prep school who goes away to spend the summer with a very, very rich, an even richer
Classmate.
family, classmate, and all sorts of weird stuff about him injecting himself into that world happens. Okay. And then gross things happen. So Becky, first of all, just to set us in this world where, and when we're talking about rich, we're talking about massive estate, not
Castle.
inherited.
Castle.
Yeah,
Right.
like castle rich,
Castle.
like
Downton
old
Abbey.
timey rich.
Yeah, they have a
castle
castle.
wealth, which is not something I didn't know people still had that.
Well, I think
other
that's
than the
such a
Other than the prince.
king.
King.
No, I think a lot of people have castles. In fact, the Downton Abbey people own that castle, but it's just so expensive to keep that they, now have it as a museum and a tour thing and the show. And that's a way for them to pay for that friggin' castle.
Oh my
So yeah,
goodness.
people have
Okay.
castles.
So Becky, you have visited people this rich before.
Listen, I'm a woman of the world. I have friends in all sorts of places.
I know all sorts of places. You've
All
got a
sorts of
van friend.
places.
You've got a friend who lives in a van in your driveway,
Mhm.
and you have castle friends. One of the
here's-
things
yeah.
that is so nuts about this movie, though, is that when this kid lands in this world, there are all these weird rules about how to behave out there. Like he goes to have breakfast and he asks
Well,
for
no, let's
breakfast.
start with the suitcase. Someone unpacks for him. From the minute he gets there, there's rules.
Right,
He's
someone
like, "Who
unpacks for him,
unpacked for me.
But when he asks
Right.
for breakfast, the eggs are made for him, but he has to go get everything else at the
The
buffet, and
sides.
everyone gets mad at him for
I will
trying to order his
say
bangers and mash or whatever.
this secret rule book that at once you're expected to know but repeatedly told is not a big deal, but when you violate these rules that you don't know is a really big deal, but no one will say it's a big deal. They'll just look at you like it's a big deal. That was so accurate. It made me my whole body clench up when I was watching some of those scenes when he first
Wait, can I
arrived.
ask, just quickly, one word answer. did you like the movie?
So
Oh, there's like a
Parts.
deafening silence on the
Parts.
podcast. Right
I'm
now.
gonna say parts.
Were you guys confused who I was asking?
Because no, did I enjoy this movie?
Yes or no?
No,
Did you know?
like
I
the
said, did you
movies-
like the movie? Not
No.
enjoy.
No.
You didn't like the movie, and Becky
I-
didn't like the movie.
But
That doesn't just say there are like, but me liking
I like the
it,
movie.
But that
I'm
me-
just saying,
doesn't-
I liked it.
I don't think you have to like every movie
That's right.
to be like
An experience.
especially having gone to film school to toot and having seen a whole bunch of
Toot
awful
toot.
movies. I don't think you need to like every movie for it to be like for you to have
experience.
takeaways from it and for it to be like an interesting experience and to appreciate certain things.
Okay,
So like
I just wanted to know if you liked it.
but I wouldn't, but I'm not like, I think Emerald Fennell is a fantastic filmmaker and there's so much about her style and aesthetic that's really, really compelling. But like this story, the things that happen in it, like not my cup of tea.
Right. I just want to remind
Yeah,
everyone
not
that
like- I'm
Emerald
not like-
Fennell made Promising Young Woman.
No, I'm not like
and
really
plays
into
Midge in Barbie. Okay, just letting everybody know.
right.
And what?
Right. I'm just like I'm not
Plays
like,
Midge, the pregnant Barbie in Barbie.
I'm,
That's
I'm not
Emerald
like
Fennell.
super into anti-hero stories. So that's part of it. I'm
So,
not
like
like
from
really
the okay, it's not like your style of
No,
storytelling.
right.
you
It's
love
more like
anyways.
I don't enjoy following
the bad guy.
like basically the villain where I'm kind of maybe supposed to feel sympathetic towards him, but it's just a terrible human being doing terrible things to people that are generally fairly nice to him, even if they're not.
I mean,
Right,
my
like,
takeaway
they're-
is the rich
they're-
people in this
they're-
movie are pretty nice.
They're assholes because
They're
they are
assholes,
that
yeah.
rich, but they aren't
Yeah.
like
Terrible,
horrendous
terrible.
people.
No,
Well, also
and
more
they
importantly, I think the kids aren't terrible. I think the parents aren't great, but the kids who he's supposed to relate to and have the main relationship with are actually pretty nice. I mean,
I would
Felix
say
is
like
very nice to him.
their biggest crime is being tragedy vampires, the family. Like they love other people's sad stories because it entertains them,
But then when it makes them
but they're not
uncomfortable,
malicious about it. They're not
They're
like
not.
Well, they send Carrie Mulligan away, but she also was
But
like
she'd been- she
overstaying
also
her way.
been
But
living
She
them.
stayed for a long time, and they were like, "Get out already! Like it's enough. You no longer entertain us, but also go get your own apartment."
right.
or
Like I
whatever.
don't think they're cold people, but also one of the things we learn about is that okay, so the mother has a very cold reaction to to Carrie Mulligan dying.
Pamela
Right.
died.
But one of the
which is one
things
of the better lines of the movie.
right,
wait,
it
she
is.
dies?
She like
You
overdoses
know what?
on
A lot of people don't realize that she dies. I was just reading about that.
At
She
one
does
point,
die.
at one point,
I
the-
was wondering. I'm like, oh, Carrie Mulligan was just in this
No,
and never
at-
came back.
at one point the parents have to go to a funeral in London, and it's Pamela's funeral, and then the mother
They're by
says
the
she'll do
pool,
anything for
yeah.
attention.
Tension. She goes, and Oliver is in the pool, and the mom's sitting by the pool, and they're alone. And she mentions that she died, and he's like, "What?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, she'd do anything for attention."
But one of the
That's,
other
like, a
things
great
we learn
line.
about at the end of the film is that as these are not people who are capable of being open with their feelings and repress things greatly. So while on the one hand, that scene in that moment comes off as cold and bored and uninterested and really like almost sociopathic in their response, what we eventually learn about these characters is that they're not able to freely express themselves. So maybe she did at some point feel badly, but in that moment is not going to express her vulnerability to a teenager she doesn't know.
Yeah, they're a product of that like extremely repressed British way of like
But-
when they're when
Right.
again, spoilers,
Class, and
when
the
their
class.
son dies and they're grieving, they can barely function like compassionate
Right.
people.
Right,
Like,
but
I
what
would
I think
say-
is interesting, it's never not. It's very obvious that they love their children, even
Yes,
though,
yes,
like,
yes,
I think it's
very-
they could have made them unloving people, but they are dysfunctional, and it might be because of their class, because of their wealth, and because of their society that they grew up in, or whatever. But it makes it very clear that they love their children, although the mother's horrible about.
And I
Venetia, about
will
the
say
daughter.
the scene after he dies where they're sitting around having lunch. To me, that's the best scene in the movie. It's
Yeah,
a
that scene's
fascinating scene.
Excellent.
That's the type
It's
of
an
thing that if you
excellent
were in school, you'd be breaking that down and studying
with
it
the
over and over
curtains and
again.
the red curtains
And the
the
hysteria and
butler.
everybody having their like reaction when they're moving the body of the father plugging the ears and the daughter pouring the wine. Everybody's having these extreme reactions.
But it's
I thought it
also
was
so
phenomenal.
repressed. It's so
Right.
incredibly
Yeah.
repressed. Yeah,
It's a
that
great
scene's
scene.
amazing. And I would say the acting in this movie. So again, when you ask me if I liked it, I'm like, no, because the experience of this movie is like having your skin scraped off
Yes.
for 2
Agreed.
hours.
Agreed.
Right. But
I didn't feel that
think,
way.
But I
didn't
think
feel that way.
I think it's delivering on its promise.
Yes.
Like the name of the place, even Saltburn. So compliments to the people who made this movie. I was miserable for most of it. And again, I think it's delivering on its promise. So I don't think me saying I didn't enjoy it is not a criticism. It's
No, it's also this movie is clearly it's doing what it's supposed to do, or it's clearly achieving something because it gives you a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. It's an experience to watch it. It's a moment in
Yeah.
pop culture.
And at the same
that
time, it
push
also
things to a limit that you're not commonly
also it
exposed to.
felt like a really intense version of Riverdale at times.
True.
Right, Becky?
What
You had
Mostly
the
kind
same
of
with-
comparison is that? Like, what do you guys measure things in Riverdale? Is
teen
that what this is?
teen drama absurdity with like a touch of murder.
Yeah.
Sure, but I think well, I'm sure she
Someone wearing
Emerald
horns.
Fennell appreciates the CW comparison to her film. I would say that I think that this has a level, and Promising Young Woman did too, but this takes it up a notch of the like dark comedy one-liners that are excellent. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the dialogue is really, really well written.
Also, who is Jacob Elordi? Because he's fantastic in this movie. Who is
Becky,
he?
what do you live under a rock?
Everybody's talking about
Jesus.
this guy. What else?
Yeah, but
is he
who
in?
is he?
Okay,
Like,
let's
what was
start
he
with the
before this
kissing
movie?
booth on Netflix, where that was the first time we see him. He's
Really?
Australian, and everybody goes obsessed with him. But he is probably one of the most important characters in Euphoria. So you're missing
see, I
out
haven't
big
seen
time.
any of
That's
those
why. If you
things.
can, okay.
But he
so
starts in the kissing booth.
I didn't want-
He's Australian. Euphoria skyrockets him because he's phenomenal.
have a
Everybody in that
Euphoria
show is
kid-
phenomenal.
He's so
and
great.
then now he's in Priscilla, the Coppola. Sofia
Oh, right,
Coppola
right,
movie
right,
where he
right, right.
plays Elvis.
Ooh, that's a good choice
So
for Elvis.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, every
know how he
actor
does
in
the
this movie
accent.
is off the charts amazing, and compliments to Emerald
Oh,
Fennell.
also, I did some research last night. At the end of the movie, Oliver, the actor who plays him, Barry, how do you pronounce his name?
Keon.
Anyway,
No, the new
he
Joker. He's playing
he
the-
is not wearing a prosthetic in the end. I
He
figured
is
Of
not.
course he's not.
He's
I would say
not.
like
No,
I was
he's
like
not.
this after everything you went through in this movie, the penis
want a
dance in
real
the end
penis.
has to be real, and I'm sure like that's the conversation they have. They're like, look, there's a penis dance at the end of this movie, and after everything we put
We
the
owe it to our
through,
audience
we
to
owe it to our
not-
audience that there will be real penis, and flap it in the air, and you're gonna do this, and I do think. I both think that scene is brilliant, and like on the other hand, I feel like it's like a little like I felt like a little taken advantage of because I was so miserable at the end of this movie that the penis dance at the end is so well done that you're like, oh, I'm leaving on kind of a high note. Serial
But
killer
that's
penis
I
dance.
think. But if you think about it, she takes you through this like crazy misery, and then she forces you to end on a high note because you can't resist that scene, the music, the shots, the like his dancing, and you're like, what? It's very conflictive, right?
I want to see
when
the
you're watching
sequel. I want to see the sequel where the butler and Farley team up to bring
And
him
murder him?
down.
Yeah. There was what I found was interesting. There's like a disappearing character situation in this movie where you've got Farley, you've got the
No, but
butler,
Farley
No,
gets
Farley
sent
comes
away in a
back.
big dramatic moment.
and then he comes back.
Back.
but then he's not there. Like, wouldn't he be there sniffing around when all of them die? They just kind of like get rid of him.
No, because he gets
after-
kicked out. What are you talking
Yeah,
about? During
but
the lunch,
then there's all this
he's
inheritance stuff, right? Like there would be, right? Because the kids are gone, but the
They
parents are there.
really rush the end.
I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say is that I think they rushed the end, and I guess Duncan is a big
there
red
was a
herring.
lot of beginning and not enough end, I would say.
Or what I would say is the end was not the point. Like the end was almost like an epilogue, which I have questions about. Was that needed? But like the end is an epilogue, but the point is to zoom into this world that they're in.
But yeah, I think it definitely gives you what to talk about.
Yeah, so I recommend it, but okay, there's a gagging warning. Okay, that's what I would say. Okay,
Yeah,
I
there's
have
some
another
really
question.
gross
The
stuff.
movie starts with him telling a story. Like he's narrating the movie.
He's telling
and
the story to the mom, to Elspeth.
In the room,
In the
Oh,
room.
that's
He's
who
telling
he's
her
sitting
how he
talking
took
to?
down the whole family.
family.
Oh,
before
right
he
before
kills
he
her.
kills her. Oh, because she's sitting vegetated state.
Date.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. That
He's like recounting.
I was asking, oh, who's he talking to? Allie was like, oh, he's talking to the cops. And I'm like, there's no cops in
At
that.
first, when I was watching it, because I didn't know the ending. At first, when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, obviously Felix is gonna die," and he's explaining to the cops. And then at the end, you see that's what he's wearing, and that's what he's
Oh,
talking
that's
to.
what he's wearing. Okay, that makes more sense. There is
And
a
he
little
looks
bit of an
older, and his hair is
unreliable.
different.
There's
There's
an
unreliable
unreliable
narrator for
narrator
sure.
stuff. Promising Young
Yeah.
Woman doesn't have that issue. Promising Young Woman,
It doesn't have that issue, but she betrays you as the viewer because the whole time she's plotting her own death to blame
yeah.
these guys. So
But this
there's like
guy's
a bit of a
telling a
betrayal.
story. This
Right.
guy's telling the story, and then later reveals the parts of the story that he just didn't tell as you're watching, that he didn't explain, like with the
Yeah,
money
you're
in his
all
wallet.
right. It's like a con artist, and you're seeing it from the other side at the
Yeah.
end. I mean, I guess some people watch it and predict all of that, but it's not the point.
It is not the point. It is not the point. That's true.
Yeah.
It
He's
is not the
clearly
point.
something's wrong with him from the beginning. Whether
Now. Here's
you
a
know,
question: was his plan so perfectly planned out?
I don't think so.
All the different steps,
No, I
including
think he
Felix
goes
finding
down.
about.
I think he gets like crazier and crazier, and I
Yeah,
don't think
I
he planned
think
to kill anybody.
I think all he
just goes
wanted
nuts.
all he wanted at first was to become Felix's friend and be in that world. And then he gets invited to Saltburn. And then I think at the point at which Felix finds him out, like finds out he's a liar, and Oliver is going to be banished from Saltburn, then he and Farley has humiliated him over and over again, drilling into him that he doesn't belong there.
And I think
Then
there's a
he
few
kind of
isn't there
breaks.
a moment where they say to him, "Sorry, you wait over here." It's like a crescendo. So I agree with Becky. And then there's a moment when Felix is gone, and they don't let him onto the bridge to throw the stone. They're like, "Sorry, you can wait over here. You're not one of us." And that he doubles down, I think, and then he's like,
so he
I
wasn't
think at that
always,
point, I don't
but
think
he was
no, I
planning
don't.
to get himself into Saltburn.
Yeah.
And he was
I
planning
think at
to
first,
enmesh
I think-
himself in this family.
I think at first he was like,
part of
"Oh, I'll
them.
kill Felix and take Felix's place as their
Place.
son,"
But
and
it
then
doesn't
the
work.
daughter
Right.
rejects him, and then he's like, "Well, I have to kill the daughter now," and then the
And the
father
parents
kicks him
reject him.
out.
They don't.
But
yeah,
he
they
doesn't
don't
kill
let him.
he doesn't kill the dad. The dad
He
just
doesn't. That's the
dies.
one.
No, he
yeah.
drives
He
him
waits.
to the edge.
Right. He waits for the dad to die.
Okay. Well, who is
Um,
your MVP character in this movie? For me, it's Rosamund Pike. It's Elspeth,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
She's the best lines
her
of the
performance
movie.
is so incredible in this movie,
And she's
and
the best
amazing.
dialogue.
they really make you feel for her. I
She's
think.
amazing.
That's
100%
horrible.
the
Considering
best.
she says one of the most abhorrent things in the movie, and yet you feel for her.
Yeah, she's my MVP by far.
Agreed.
My LVP is Farty. That kid is the
agree.
worst.
Yeah, I was not. and didn't love that.
The
But
least
it was an
grateful.
interesting. I think it was an interesting thing to put in the mix. You needed an antagonist for Oliver, and you needed that. But
Well, because
Well,
he's
he's like
the one.
he's also a fraud who's living in that world, and he's trying to get the other fraud out.
but he knows the rules of the world, and he's
That's-
family,
because he was raised in
So-
it.
right? And he's blood related to them.
Is he?
Right.
What was the relationship?
Yeah,
again?
he's the
them
sister's
aunts-
son.
He's the father's sister's son.
Sister's son.
And she's like an actress in America and is wasting their money and was
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
By the dad.
But
And
he
so
agreed to at least take care
Pay
of.
for the school.
Yeah.
For him. I thought
But
it
that
was,
guy-
it was interesting, but it was so annoying.
Yeah, he was.
But
he was
it's an interesting, like whole like a comment on
Oh, it was that character is so well placed in all of
right.
that.
And like
because-
it's a great comment on how you can be as miserable as he is and ungrateful as he is and biracial, which is not lost on anyone, I'm sure. And
oh right, yeah, like the
he's-
rich
yeah,
blue blood family.
blue
that's
blood
true.
family and bankrupt, but he's still more family than Oliver ever will be.
That's true.
So that's
the-
an interesting layer.
And does his character die too?
No, he's just
Oh.
banished, which is why I
Oh.
want to see the sequel where he and the butler team up to
Okay.
take down Oliver.
He's banished,
I-
but then he's allowed back for the party. He
because
tells
he's family.
Oliver-
That's his whole point. His whole
Right.
point
He's
is that
like,
like I'm
"They'll
never
forgive me."
really banished.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like there's this amazing chessboard or Venn diagram that's created, and each character occupies like a special spot in the range of what everyone represents. It's really, really well done. Okay, Lily, you had a game for us.
Yes. Okay. So who said it? Okay. I want you guys to whoever answers faster. It couldn't have been about me. I've never wanted to know anything.
Oh, that was
The
such a good
sister.
line.
The
It's
sister,
such a good line. Wrong.
Carrie Mulligan.
Pam.
Nope.
Wait, who? Who did you say no
It's
to?
the
The
both
mom?
of you. Yeah, it's
The
both
mom?
of you. But it's the mom because she's saying that common people is written about her.
The
And there's
song?
a line in the song. Remember when she's saying common
Oh, yeah.
people, everyone says it's about her. But in the song, there's a line about she wants to know everything or something. And she's like, well, it couldn't have been about me. I've never wanted to know anything. It's such a great line. I don't think you're a spider. I think you're a moth.
That's the sister.
Yeah. About
Yeah.
Oliver.
That's another gross bathtub scene.
And we already talked about she'd do anything for attention, which is such a great line.
Mhm.
And then this is my favorite line of the movie. Hi, Granny.
I don't remember.
Oliver.
Nope. I love this part of the movie.
Felix?
As Felix is giving Oliver a tour of the house, he's like all these like gross old paintings, and they're going through the
Oh,
rooms, and he's
that's
like, oh,
right.
and there's the and the ghost of my grandmother lives here.
Oh yeah, there's my
And then-
grandmother. Honey, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a great line.
It's just, and I like that because it's like telling you don't take this movie too seriously, which is brings us to our next point. Shy.
Okay,
in the
so we
notes.
are gonna play some By Rent Man with the different scenes in this movie. Do you want to do that, or do you want to talk about Suitable Flesh first?
No, let's just keep going. Let's get through this.
Okay, all right. So we got some By Rent Man for Saltburn, and then we're gonna talk about Suitable
I
Flesh.
can't even do them. I'm gonna
Suitable
throw
flesh.
up.
Okay,
I mean, okay. Yeah,
so
go
By Rent
ahead.
Man, the grossest scenes in Saltburn. The part where Oliver drinks the semen-filled bathwater.
throw up. Stop.
What I can only describe as the period Slurpee.
Oh my god.
And then the grand finale of banging the grave until the grave of
You know, that
his
was
friend until
improvised.
climax.
It was improvised?
She gave him, I think, very little guidance, and he improvised unbuckling his pants. And
Well, I
that
mean,
whole
depending
part-
on when they film
he
that
gets
movie, if he's
completely
in
naked.
character,
Yeah.
character.
yeah,
that-
like he went with that and decided to
Okay,
do that.
so By Renter Man,
lot.
which one? By would be actually you have to just define it because I audibly gagged during the first two of these. Like I went, and then I had to fast forward because I was dying. I couldn't.
So I
it
think
was-
bathtub is the worst because not so much of the act, like it's
gross.
It's gross. The way it's performed,
Oh yeah,
is,
it's amazing his
find-
performance, but it's
his
so
performance
gross.
is amazing because
Ugh,
it's the
turning green.
performance that's so bad. Whereas period Slurpee, objectively is not it's a gross thing
They don't
to do.
show it.
But they don't show it, and I found the performance they did a good job thinking that these people had chemistry and like they were attracted to each other, and they were both in agreement of what was going on, and it was gross, but I could somewhat handle it better than the performance in the bathtub is just like really disgusting. The way it's on purpose, but it's just brutal.
And then the grave banging at that point in the movie, you're like, oh, grave banging.
With
That's
a
normal.
little sex
for
with
this
a
movie.
grave. Yeah, I think that's the order, Beck. I don't know what your order is.
Well, that's from grossest to least gross.
That's gross to least gross.
So then I would rent to buy in that case because, I mean, I would meh to buy in that case because certain things I never need to see again. If I had to, I'd watch again. And the grave banging is very funny. We were laughing.
Okay.
I understand
you
why
agree.
it's serious, but at that point, you're like, this is a lot.
It's absurd. Yeah.
Now let's buy, rent, or miss some of the rich people. The mom, Elspeth, the dad, whose name escapes me, but his performance is amazing.
He's good.
And
Farley.
Farley.
I'm 100% buying the mom because she would throw me an amazing party. Did you see that party? That was
my
crazy.
God, I
She
know.
had so much fun.
Fancy dress.
I'd rent the dad I'd rent the dad because like he seems really nice, but also would make me nervous. Like again, I would somehow always be breaking his rules, but I didn't know what they were.
You don't know when he's going to invite you into his office and send you away.
And meh Farley because he can't be trusted.
Yeah, I agree.
He's definitely just trying
I think
to
it was really
destroy
interesting how
you.
they all piled into that den with the old TV.
Okay, I was going to say that's another one of those weird rules where even though it's a massive house with tons of space, everybody crowds into like one tiny room for
Like,
that.
They're
or
watching on
something
like a
intimate.
32-inch.
Yeah.
flat
That's like a
screen.
thing.
It was
That's
an
so
old
fun.
TV too, I think.
Yeah.
No? It was-
Well, the
yeah,
movie
that's
takes
it.
place in 2006 or
Oh,
something
right.
like that.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah.
so that would have been a
That
fancy TV
dates it.
then,
Then you're right.
or
you're
an
right, it
expensive
dates
TV
it.
then. It just wasn't big the way
Right.
now you can buy
Do
TVs
people
for a
make
quarter of
things
that
take
price.
place at certain times just so it could be pre-iPhone?
And
So they don't
pre-social
have to-
media. I
Yeah,
think
pre-social media.
Yeah, because I
pre-Instagram.
think if that movie had social media and they had
I don't think
social media,
Yeah, I don't think it would
It would
make
be
as much
very
sense.
different.
Yeah.
they'd be doing their rich
And-
people things.
Right, and the social climbing and I think everything it changes so much. Yeah.
Okay, so this movie has one of the all-time great penis scenes in the history of movies.
And you never thought you'd say there'd be another, like there already was one in the canon of like film, and now we're saying there's another. I don't know.
So
if
this
you
is
ever
this is a great
expected
penis
that
scene.
would happen.
So in that theme, I just want to play. We're gonna play some buy rent meh with some famous penis scenes. And if you want to, if I missed one or you want me to switch one out, sure. So one is the naked fight in Eastern Promises. Another is Marky Mark at the end of Boogie Nights, and then the locker room scene in Any Given Sunday.
So I think there's two categories
just because
here.
like of the number of
because-
penises.
Because Shame, the movie Shame with Fassbender, that has one of the most insane penis scenes ever. If you
Oh,
ever
I
seen-
haven't
that
seen
movie's excellent. That movie's an excellent film. But static penis scene is not the same as motion penis.
Okay,
I
I think
think.
that's a strong point.
Well, I think, right? So
I mean,
think
dancing penis versus fighting penis?
fighting penis, I
Ooh.
think that's in its own category. If we're just like talking,
Well,
showing
no,
your
no, no.
penis in the
Dancing
mirror and your
penis is
Marky
its
Mark.
own thing. We're now weighing the other ones. Like dancing penis.
Oh, okay.
is
No, fighting penises is
Fighting
the
penis is the
best.
only thing that could
I
come
mean, it's-
close to that.
You're on the edge of your seat. I mean, nothing's protecting it.
That's a good point. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen. That scene is brutal but slow. It's amazing.
Mhm.
And then Marky Mark's. Does it lose points for being a prosthetic?
It does.
It does.
I think it does.
Okay, so
does.
that it's
It does.
important dramatically, but you're right.
It is.
And then the
It is.
locker room scene in Any Given Sunday.
I'm not
or any of the locker room
belittling
scenes. There's a
Marky
lot of-
Mark for it not being his penis. It's a very important scene in the film. It's just sorry, it doesn't compare. If it's
And
not
then
real.
you're right. So you got to give it to the guys in Any Given Sunday to get them second
Who-
place because they're
right.
just.
And Fassbender. I think that
And
was
Fassbender.
Fassbender's. Those-
My
those
other
scenes,
one that I
that
was
scene.
going to talk about that I'm sure you guys didn't see was The Northman with
I haven't seen that.
Skarsgård. The whole end of the movie is like the most brutal naked sword fight scene, like actual
wow.
swords and
Ooh.
penises, on a
Oh,
volcano.
sorry. How is
On a
that not been
volcano.
written up more? Like, why am
Volcano
I only
King.
hearing about this now?
Yeah.
That is
I thought that was a cool
wild.
movie. Josh, Mr. Vikings, hated that movie. I thought it was amazing. I love that's the same
That's-
director who made The
but I-
Lighthouse. Like that,
Oh my
like see,
God,
that's
you
those are
like-
movies
you're-
where the experience is somewhat miserable, but I love those two movies. I thought they were amazing.
Interesting. All right.
Okay. All right. Now we watched another movie. You'd think in the two movies we saw, the two movies we're talking about, or the three if you add Anatomy of the Fall, the one that is about body swapping body horror.
Demons.
That's a throwback to the days of the Reanimator, produced by Barbara Crampton, who's a famous actress who was in those
the movie.
sort of body horror slashery movies, starring Heather Graham and the incomparable Judah Lewis, whose hair is amazing in this movie. Like,
I mean, when is his
he's
hair not
great.
amazing?
He's got great hair, but his hair
Best
in this
supporting
movie,
actor, his hair.
yeah, exactly. His hair is amazing in this movie.
Like, I want to say it's like DiCaprio 90s hair.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that's
very,
what it's giving us.
very.
Yeah, you know,
DiCaprio, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
he's got,
People
you
are
know, now that I think
nostalgic for
about
that
it,
haircut.
now that I think about it, he totally has.
He
a
is DiCaprio-esque.
Yeah,
Very
I
DiCaprio. He's
never
very
thought about that.
90s DiCaprio.
Mhm.
Especially in this, especially with him acting opposite Heather Graham. And one of the things that, and Judah Lewis, we've talked about many times before because of the Babysitter movies, or for those who have watched the Christmas Chronicles also, he's done like horror and like amazing family movies. Those are his
And Demolition.
And Demolition, yeah, that's
Please.
true. But those are the things that we've talked about on the show.
Mhm.
But you've also got, you've got Heather Graham, and watching Heather Graham in this, it reminds me, I'm like, I love Heather Graham. I don't think there's
know.
anything I've ever seen Heather Graham in that I don't like. We just talked about Boogie Nights. She's awesome in Boogie Nights.
She's amazing
yeah.
in that movie.
She's in
Oh my God.
Diggstown when she was like very young. She's the female lead in Diggstown.
And she
which
looks
is,
the same, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah. She's in Austin Powers 2. She's hilarious in Austin Powers 2. So just I enjoyed Heather Graham. So this movie, it has possession. There's a demon that's jumping from body to body, and so each of the actors has to kind of play, and then
Each
the
other.
actors switch places, the characters switch bodies too. So the actors all have to play each other at different times.
Yeah.
So Judah plays himself,
Heather.
but then
himself.
he plays himself. He plays Heather Graham. He
And he plays
also
the
plays
demon.
the demon.
the demon, but it's like the demon as like all-time great character actor Bruce Davison, who you guys might know as like the senator from
Yeah.
from,
From
the X-Men movies,
Yeah.
and Barbara Crampton as well. And then there's a little Jonathan Skaich in this movie.
Yeah.
As her
Jonathan
husband,
Skaich as
Heather
Heather Graham's husband. I love some Jonathan
That was
Skaich
great.
from That Thing You Do.
Yeah. I was like, he's just doing that thing he does in the movie.
Doing that thing he does. So it was fun in the sense that you got to watch everybody play each other. It was also fun in that there's some great over the top. At no point is it like a scary movie, but it
No.
delivers on its promise. There's some great over the top gore. There's some beheading. I mean,
And I
the
think
end
the
of
gore at
the
the
movie,
end is the best.
It
I
is
think
a
really-
Judah's
fun-
body just gets mangled.
It's like if
I
you
think
want to
it's a
do, if you're in the mood for a horror, but you want to do something that's, very genre, it is a fun
Exactly.
movie. It is, and I found it to be, because you're watching it at first, and because it has that like retro
70s.
look to it,
Yeah.
you're just like, what? I don't know. It kind of, at first it sort of throws you, but it makes it really, really fun to watch. And then you get into it and the acting's phenomenal, right? So, which you're not, honestly, like you're not expecting when you watch something that has that, what
Aesthetic.
now appears to be like a campy look. It reminds me of the movie The Room a bit in that sense, where it's like the style
It's like you're a
of
little bit worried it's a
filming.
porno as you're
Right,
watching.
the style of
It's like
filming and the quality of it
the
has
70s.
that campy look to it. But then the performances by everyone in the movie, but especially by Heather Graham and Judah Lewis, who are the leads, who are really anchoring it, are out of this world. Like,
Yeah.
so it has a really great substance.
Super fun.
Within this fun
Super
style.
fun. I love this. I forget which one of you watched it first and texted me and said,
Me.
Lily.
this movie was made for your algorithm. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yep.
It's
No, but
This
to
is
me,
exactly
this is
my
a
kind of movie.
this is a buy for me. This movie, I thought it was really, really fun. I would rewatch
this
it.
was
Yeah,
with all of the and you know and I guess it delivers on its promise all the way through, and it was super fun, and I had a blast watching it. And so if someone wants like a nice little gory fun movie,
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
no semen bathwater drinking in it. I'll tell you that.
Don't be disappointed.
So that's definitely
and
a
in
buy.
fact, the sex scenes. Oh my god, some of them are so funny. Some of them are so funny, and some of them are very uncomfortable. Let's just say, but it really runs the gamut there. But none of them will make you want to gag and fast forward.
No, it's like
Wait, Saltburn
enjoyable.
does.
I was
It's
like,
funny.
oh, can't they switch bodies and stab each other more?
It was really funny. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so that's Suitable Flesh, and then I guess we got to do a just brief aside because
We have to do it because
we have to do it because I don't think we're gonna do a whole episode.
We're not going to do an episode on it.
Anatomy of a Fall.
We're not going
So-
to do an episode on it because Shai texted me his review and I said, oh, I will not be watching that. No, thank you.
So this is another one where like I sat on it and I
Palm
thought about
people.
it and I talked
Palm
about
door.
yeah.
You want
Yeah.
the Palm door? It can.
Yeah, this one, the Palm d'Or, it's
And
Listen,
it came
you can't buy
highly.
taste.
Someone highly recommended it to me. The Palm d'Or, I was like, oh, cool, whatever. But someone I trust like recommended it to me, saying it was like the best movie of the year that they've seen. It was so fun. It was so highly recommended that I was like, oh my god, I'm excited to see something, you know, cerebral that's like interesting and, you know, whodunit type thing. And I did not
But
really.
in fairness, it's one of
Very
those
slow.
situations where I didn't listen to anyone who told me, like, they're like, it's not a whodunit.
Oh, I
Even
never
though
heard.
it's about
Okay,
this
I didn't
trial,
know.
people have repeatedly told me that, and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, but we're still going to try to find out who did it, right? Because the whole movie's this trial.
Well, I knew it was like about her, like, you know,
But it's
her
really not a
life being-
mystery.
No, yeah, I guess I thought it was going to be more of a mystery than
It's
it was.
not a mystery at all. In fact, I like.
You're
in
not
fact,
remotely
it's
like wondering who did
the
it.
movie
You know.
is really, it's really just a marriage story
On trial.
as told through this trial. This woman's life goes on trial because of this murder trial. But like again, more spoilers, like even the case that the people are putting together is so flimsy. I was sort of waiting. I was like, oh, are they going to flip it the other way? And I'm going to think she did it. You don't really think she did it, I think, at any point. There's no real strong
I think at the
motive for her
beginning,
to have done
at the
it.
beginning, there's like a minute where when she gets caught in a few lies.
Yeah,
that you're
but
like,
it's still not
"Ah."
the point. The point is,
Right.
and so as I've let that part go because I was waiting for this movie to get exciting. It is not. It is 2.5 hours of just
Wait.
dissecting people's sad life. And
Oh,
Well,
what'd
yeah.
you say?
what-
Through a trial. The trial is the mechanism by which they dissect her very sad life
What, Becky?
and how
well, I was
people
going
deal
to
with
ask.
tragedy.
Hold on, but I have to Google something. The way you're describing it, did I think this if it didn't win the Palme d'Or, it won
It
other
did win the
really
Palme d'Or.
amazing.
No, it won
no,
the
no,
Palme
I'm
d'Or.
thinking of another movie. Have you guys seen the movie The Worst Person in the World?
Yes.
Okay, right? And didn't that win? And that's also just like
Yeah.
I turned it off. I was
girl,
like, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Like
Yeah.
delivering on
Just
your
a
promise,
miserable
not
person.
interested in watching 2 hours
so-
of this
so-
woman being miserable and treating
So
people terribly
bad.
and
So
making bad choices.
if you had told me this movie is about a lady dealing with her husband's death and all of the tragedy in her life and talking about it with a bunch of people for 2.5 hours, I never would have watched it.
Although I don't know,
But-
I
but
feel like
hol-
her life wasn't that tragic. His,
No, but it's
Like,
them dealing with tragedy.
I guess-
It's
I
the
guess, yeah.
thing. It's like in some ways it's the mundane things that can just happen in your life that break you. and very realistic human responses. So in that sense,
She's excellent though.
it's in that sense,
Sandra
this is again,
Hüller?
this movie is objectively good. The acting is great.
Yeah.
Like
The
great.
lawyers are really good.
The kid is incredible.
The
The
kid's
lawyers
really
are
good.
incredible. But it is miserable. There's like the movie is super, 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 super sad for 2 hours, and then Becky, they almost murder a dog at the 2 hour mark.
Don't murder the
There's this
dog.
part where the
dog
kid poisons a dog, and you
just
you
a
find out why later, and
experiment.
it's sort of justified. I don't even know if it is, but you're sitting there, you're watching the sad, 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 sad story, and then you're watching a dog. Looks like they actually
No,
they
I did say
actually
the whole
murdered
how did
that
they
dog.
get that dog to like have a seizure? But
It's like
I think it's
they found
also-
they were
it-
like, we found an epileptic dog, and we then filmed
No,
it having a seizure. It was
it is like I understand why people like the commentary, and the idea that it all depends on how you look at something. Like they bring in one expert that's like he was obviously murdered, and they bring in another expert who was like he obviously fell, and the flimsiness, you're like the flimsiness of the case, the flimsiness of like the justice system, our lives.
to me, it's about like the French justice system, like the prosecutorial overreach.
I kept being like, Jose, I was like, there's no way these comments would fly in a U.S. court. I was like,
Yeah, I'm like,
Your Honor.
I'm like, where's someone objecting? I think you maybe
I
have to
was
know
like,
more
I
about
object,
French
Your
law.
Honor. Yeah.
The lawyers, like the prosecutor, is so despicable with his
He's
bald
great
head
though.
and his ears.
Antoine Reinhardt. He's
Yeah.
fantastic in terms of his
And the movie also changes language. It flows between English and French, which was
Yeah.
very fun. So it's obviously great on many, many levels. Again, it was not. This is the kind of movie I usually avoid. I'm glad I saw it, but
Sorry
this is
about
the kind
that.
of movie I usually avoid.
To be
And-
fair, I just said I was watching it. I wasn't
Yeah.
forcing it.
Well,
But now we've seen a lot of. I saw Maestro too. I feel like now I'm really seeing a lot of Oscar movies. The
what'd
fact
you think
that
of
they're in,
Maestro? Because that one,
You saw Maestro? When did
I'm
you
running
sneak
out of
that
steam
in?
to
You're so
watch some of these
sneaky.
movies this year.
I wrote
so sneaky.
I am. I said that was going to be my New Year's resolution. I'm going to get these movies in. I saw Maestro. I've seen Anatomy of the Fall. I feel like I've now. Killers of the Flower Moon is what's left, and I don't know if I can do it.
We have a very good friend that
for the
saw it, said it
Oscars.
was their best movie of the year.
Oh, so maybe it's just so sad and depressing.
Yeah, but so far, whereas last year I felt like there were so many amazing movies. This year I feel like I still come back to. I'm like, yeah, Barbie's the best movie of the year.
Now that you've actually seen a lot of them.
Now I've seen all these movies. I'm like, now Barbie definitely needs to win.
Right.
Now, although the other thing is the Holdovers, I loved when I saw it, and the more I think about it, the more I love it. So I would say Barbie and the Holdovers, and I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. Maybe I should see that.
Maestro is good. It's 2 hours, but it feels longer. So it's like one of those movies that like it feels longer than it is. He's obviously great. I wonder. I was watching it and I was like, clearly he felt he needed the nose to be the character, to become Leonard Bernstein. Clearly, the way Virginia Woolf, Nicole Kidman with Virginia Woolf, like she changed her face and the nose to be Virginia Woolf in the hours. I think if you're really into composing and like that musical kind of stuff, maybe it's more interesting for you. I mean, he was brilliant. It's a lot more about his personal life and his wife than it is about his actual career. And so it's interesting, but I mean, Carey Mulligan steals the movie. So, I mean, good for him.
Good
but
for her. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's incredible in the movie. And her story is really interesting. And their marriage was really interesting. But,
so our conclusion today, though, is
about her.
Our conclusion today is
Barbie
Carey
is the
Mulligan's
best one.
amazing in everything she's in.
Yeah.
Promising Young Woman, Saltburn, and Maestro.
Everything that she's in, she's phenomenal. But to me, it's not like I wouldn't make that the best movie of the year.
Here's another
box.
Here's another one I watched. Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh, I've seen that. Oh, wow.
I've seen that.
Which I think I enjoyed more than Saltburn and Anatomy of the Fall. I'm not saying like one's better than the other, but like
good.
But I just want to I want to speak up for this movie.
Did you get the ending?
What?
Did you guess the ending, like the twist at the end? Did you see that coming?
What
So creepy.
the reveal about what's happening?
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, something like that was happening. But I just want to speak up for this movie because this is like the dumbness of like
Hollywood.
buzz
But
and things
the
where people
the
are
controversy eclipsed the movie.
everyone's focusing on this like romantic controversy or I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about Olivia Wilde, whether or not like what went on behind the scenes. So I'm not going to comment on that at all. But I thought this was a cool movie. I thought it looked amazing. I thought
It's just too bad that she met
music
Harry Styles on the movie and they started a relationship. Just that alone, then the movie got like eclipsed.
the
Plus all
movie,
other stuff.
the music is amazing. I love the old choices like Shaboom. The amount they use the song Shaboom in that movie is like I love all that old music. I thought the costumes were wild. I thought Chris Pine was fantastic as
He was
the
great
like
with his long
psycho
hair.
cult leader, and Olivia Wilde was great as the character she was in, and Florence Pugh, who I'm like not a huge fan of, was really really good.
Yeah, Olivia Wilde's a good director.
And also
Well
Harry
made.
Styles rocked in that movie.
Mhm.
He was
He's good. I haven't seen
thought
his
he
other
was
movie, The Policeman, but he seems
I
like
haven't
he
seen his
can
other
act.
movie, but he was super in that movie. I loved watching him in it. I thought it was great. He has to change accents. He kind of plays two versions of himself at one point.
Mhm.
Like I like to me 20 years ago, that part would have gone to like Jude Law.
Yeah.
Or no, Ewan McGregor. It would have been like Ewan McGregor.
Or Jude Law. Either one of
Yeah,
those.
it was like, and I'm not saying he's not at that level of acting, but like I thought he
That he's
was
at that level.
great and a great choice, and he has to do the like macho screaming, and he has to be pathetic at other times. The actual sort of like overall story was more or less what I expected. Like there wasn't any like there was obviously something going on. It's just unclear what it was. I actually
Like
liked the reveal though. I liked the reveal
Right.
that it was this.
Hands. Well, you're gonna spoil it? Maybe people
No,
won't
no, I'm
see
not
it.
going to.
Maybe-
But I like the reveal. I thought the reveal wasn't just. It was all a dream for it's all a dream's sake. It was
Right.
also a comment on our society right now, which I enjoy, and I enjoyed that comment. I enjoyed the comment that it made.
And what's crazy is that like I guess it went to a lot of festivals and stuff, but I feel like it's all that controversy, it definitely eclipsed. Like that movie's better than most movies on any streamer that you'd watch.
Yep.
So
Yeah. That's a cool.
but
It was a cool movie.
kind of didn't get a fair run because of
it
all the
was a
like.
cool movie, and it.
But
and
if you
it's
do watch
nonsense.
that video like a million times, it still looks like Chris Pine spits on him. Like I have to say, like I'm, like I didn't ask them to make the controversies.
No, other
but
way around. That Harry Styles spits.
Harry Styles spits on Chris Pine. Is that what it is? Yeah, Harry Styles spits on Chris Pine. Is that it?
Yeah.
Not the reverse.
Not the reverse.
Right.
But it does look like that. So and Pew refusing to do press and like it's kind of they brought it on themselves, but it is a good movie.
Yeah. Why did she refuse to do press?
I don't know. They're like
I don't know, but
her and
she-
Olivia Wilde hated
There was
each other.
like one of the stories was that Shia LaBeouf was supposed to play the Harry Styles part,
Right.
and then Florence
He
Pugh
was.
complained about his conduct because he's, doesn't have a reputation for being the most stable, great guy. And then Olivia Wilde
Begged him not to quit the movie.
begged him not to quit, or he was like going to quit the
right.
movie, and
They
then she
said
begged him
that
not
he
to
was
quit.
fired. They all said that
And
he
then
was
she
fired,
wrote
and
the
he
message.
comes
There's
out
like-
and says, "No, I quit," and she begged me to come back.
She begged me to stay, and she was like, "Don't worry about Florence. We'll figure it. Like we'll make we'll
Right.
quiet her down and make
Oh.
that work. You need to stay because he is like an insanely good actor. He's just also like kind
Although
but
now
not-
he's a member like of the clergy of the Catholic Church. He became a clergyman.
yeah.
Interesting.
So
Read that the other day.
But interesting though is that he is a much more sort of like I think physically imposing presence than Harry Styles. I feel like it would have really changed the dynamic of that character. Like Harry Styles does the like fit
Pretty boy,
but he's also meek, his character. And at the end when it's revealed,
What he's
sort of
done,
like how
yeah.
pathetic he is, I'd be interesting to see how if Shia LaBeouf would have played that more as an incel and less as like a pathetic loser.
Yeah.
Anyways. Anyways, okay. Well, this was a jam-packed episode. I'm so proud of us. We're
Wow.
on top of our New Year's resolution.
People miss hearing our opinions on movies. This is a great episode.
This is complex. This is complex.
For
Well,
the amount we haven't watched, like we didn't watch movies for so long.
yeah.
Now we're back.
And now we're on top of it. We're back. I started watching Soylent Green, by the way, like the old movie with Charlton Heston. Yeah. The movie takes place in 2022, and the future they predict is like not that far off from the future from last year. So it actually seems like in some ways it might be better. And with that, I love you guys. You're the best. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Friday Night Movie, the sibling rivalry and pop culture podcast. Join the Friday Night Movie family by following @FryNightMovie on all of the socials and visiting our website, FryNightMovie.com. Our theme song is by What Does It Eat? And make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.